Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today, we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite. Oh, brother. Oh, my goodness. Good God, have mercy. March 27th, 2024. Not much in the way of news and notes, really. Just kind of some stray thoughts, mostly coming from the Meltzer Alvarez camp. And asking the question, what the hell is going on with Max Caster? He out here tweeting reckless. I mean, it's funny. I'm not following him or anything, but I see like these random stray tweets of Max Caster talking about Jay White not having an aura and that he's a mid-card wrestler, which he's been feuding with him, so that makes sense. That's fine. But he also mentioned something about some Japanese girl wrestler. And somebody said she was the best in the world or one of the best in the world. And he was like, we're talking cooking and cleaning, right? Not wrestling? And people start calling him a misogynist. It was really funny. Like he's just, going out there having fun with the audience. Some of these people taking his stuff a little too seriously. But it was pretty funny. Like he even did a little bit of a dunk on Anthony Bowens. A couple. I think he said people like him more than Anthony. And later he says that it would be nice if Anthony showed up to work or something like that. So it was light. But people took everything he was saying so seriously. And I was like, man, this is like the second week in a row he decided to go out and tweet recklessly right before Dynamite. I wonder why he's doing that. Is that a way to support Dynamite by I'm going to tweet recklessly right before Dynamite? In any event, Meltzer and Alvarez. So both of them went on rants about how Dynamite is becoming more and more like WWE. Meltzer was talking about Mercedes promo and how that promo is becoming more and more WWE. It was very scripted, including her emotions, including her throwing to a video package of herself last week, and how it was becoming very WWE, that promo segment. And then Alvarez had about 30 seconds or whatever when he's talking about Edge and Christian in the main event, and how it was a WWE match, and it had a WWE finish. And basically, they're trying to get people to believe or make the argument that AEW is becoming more like WWE. And let's assume that what they're saying is true. Let me tell you that this week was exactly the opposite. All right? It was exactly the opposite. This was as AEW a show as you could possibly have, for God's sakes. But it still has some interesting bits on it. So as we move towards actually reviewing the product, let's talk about that venue. There was that building. Brother, that building was empty. Okay? It was not good. It was not a good house. You could look at the pictures that was posted by some guy named Aaron Rift of No DQ. I don't know if he's a columnist or a journalist. I don't know. And it don't matter. But you look at that photo and see all of those rows of empty seats. And it is abysmal, the outcome of this show. Now, from WrestleTix, they set up for less than 5,000 seats. So they knew they were not going to get 5,000 people. They knew that. They set it up for 4,429. That was the plan. They ended up getting most of that. They got 4,117. So there was about 300 tickets that were not sold. This is after you spend all this money on Will Ospreay, after you spend all this money on Mercedes Moné, after you spend all this money on Kazuchika Okada, you still cannot get 5,000 people into this venue. They then announced that they were going to do a double shot in Las Vegas for Double or Nothing. They're going to do Collision on Saturday, and they're going to do Double or Nothing on Sunday. Expect that Saturday show to be virtually goddamn empty. All right? Because if you're going to be in Las Vegas, why aren't you going to the pay-per-view? Why would you go to Collision? Why? Just save your ducats and go to the pay-per-view. Now, some people are going to go to both. And, maybe you might get some spillover, kind of like when WWE used to do the Monday after Raw, the Raw after WrestleMania, and there's some spillover from people who are still in town, and they just, go to Raw after WrestleMania. Maybe you'll get some of those people go to Collision before, Double or Nothing. But it's not looking good. Their attendance is not looking good. And the only reason I would even mention it is because you can hear the people, you can hear the echo of them hitting the rings. Like, it's like, what is that? Oh, that's Takeshita hitting the ropes. And it sounds like, a little boy in a room by himself bouncing the ball off a wall. It's crazy. It's just absolutely insane. How could you continuously look at this and not make some adjustments? I don't know. But Tony Khan's not doing it. He's not going to do it. Maybe it's because a lot of the people are, I guess the fans are enjoying the product. Tony Khan likes the product how it is. They're not asking any questions. They're just taking what they got and running with it. And as a person who wants AEW to be around, I'm looking at this saying this is unsustainable. It's just not sustainable. You got to do something. You got to make some adjustments, man. You're investing a lot in talent. You're investing a lot in your front office. It's time to get something back. This is not a charity. If these people want to continue having jobs, they need to actually produce. What more can you say? Just because he has the money, you think he wants to spend it all on wrestling? You think, his dad wants to sit around all day and watch money go down the drain? You think this is just going to last forever? You think that the golden goose is just going to last forever? It's unrealistic, man. If he did not have the money that he had, this company would already be out of business, But everybody knows this is a passion project more than anything. He'll fund it forever if he has to. But he needs to start making some money. Now, I guess he's not losing a lot. He said he's losing like $30 some odd million. That's still a lot. But you need to start turning the nose up on this thing eventually. You just got to. You have no choice. But anyway, let's get into the product. Will Ospreay defeated Katsuyori Shibata. This match was over 20 minutes long. What is the benefit of the match being 20 plus minutes? Shibata has beat nobody on this roster. He has beaten nobody. Certainly nobody of note. Why does he get 20 minutes invested in him on this show? Why? This is where we start doing your cost benefit analysis. Like Al Snow once said that when you take into account commercials and stuff like that, the commercial is how long 30 or 60 seconds is of a program. So if it costs $200,000 or something to that effect to run a commercial on your show, then the wrestler every 30 seconds is billing Tony Khan a certain amount of money, and they're supposed to make that money back. That's the point of advertising. A match or a segment should advertise something. That's why we call it a promo. It's a promotion. So when you have a guy like Katsuyori Shibata who doesn't win ever, he's not going to sell any merchandise. He's not going to cut you, and he's not going to make you any money. So why in the world would you dedicate 20 minutes of your time to that? It's not even a shot at him. It's just factual information. He is not going to make you money. Why are you giving him 20 minutes of your time? You may say, well, we're giving that 20 minutes to Will Ospreay. Well, guess what? You diminish him the longer he's in the ring with this guy. It's I don't know. Let's move on. Because nothing happened anyway. He just beat him, and that was it. They did a vignette for Bryan Danielson, which was a kind of short biography in which they hard edited his WWE career. Basically, he went from Ring of Honor to retirement, which was funny. But I like this. This was good. They did a lot of these vignettes throughout the show for like Swerve Strickland and Takeshita, and I like these things. These are good. I would prefer if they do these on people that we don't know that they're bringing in, but doing it for people who are already there is also good. Okay, fine. The Young Bucks, they're quite terrible. They talk about Renee Paquette being unprofessional and then say that they're going to beat Private Party because losing to Private Party ruined whichever one of those guys. It ruined his whole year. He said they came back to do three things: retire Sting, reform the Elite, and win the tag team championships. I don't care about the Young Bucks. They suck. They're a waste of money too, but at least at one point they sold t-shirts and things. I'm not even sure if they still selling gimmicks as the Bullet Club gimmicks and t-shirts and stuff. I just don't. And again, they gave them a ton of time too with Private Party. Private Party, who beats nobody. You're not going to sell a ton of merchandise on them either. They're not going to make you a dime. And this match was over 10 minutes. So you're losing money every 30 seconds, 60 seconds that these guys are on television because they're not making you any money back. And that includes all four of these people. So if you're a fan of AEW, how could you just continuously want the company to lose money? This match wasn't even that great. It was just a typical Young Bucks Private Party spot fest. They did everything they know how to do. And then botched the finish. And then instead of just redoing the finish, they just went with it. Like, imagine how little fucks you give that you're going to botch the finish and then just say, oh, well, and pin the guy anyway. Okay. They did a vignette for Konosuke Takeshita, which was fine. It was basically just Don Callis telling his life story. Darby Allin was there. He was doing some kind of skate park charity because this is what Tony Hawk likes to do. Okay. Whatever. Hook got propositioned by Chris Jericho, and the proposition was he wants to be his manager / advisor, to which Hook accepted, but then said he knows how Chris Jericho is, so he's very leery of Chris Jericho. But Jericho is, I guess, on the straight and narrow, so it's all going to work out great. They had a women's fatal 4-way for the number one contender for the TNT Championship. They brought Mercedes to Quebec just to sit at commentary. This is the third week she has been on this show, and she is not involved with anything hot. This is straight up mid-card stuff. This is legitimately mid-card stuff. Look at what they're doing with Edge. They did the same damn thing. Edge is in the TNT Championship division. Why? Why is Edge in the TNT Championship division? It makes no sense. How are you maximizing him in that spot? How is Mercedes being maximized in this position? I don't know. Willow Nightingale defeated Anna Jay, Chris Statlander, and Sky Blue. So she's going to wrestle Julia Hart at the pay-per-view, which is Dynasty. Which begs the question, is Mercedes going to wrestle at that show? Because she's been almost singularly focused on Willow Nightingale. And now Willow's going to get a championship match. What the hell is Mercedes going to do? She's going to sit in her corner or something? Well, she's been on this show for 3 weeks. And instead of it feeling fresh and new and interesting and something different happening, it feels to me like they basically just said, okay, this is going to be your spot. We're going to build up the eventual match between you and Willow. But instead of just building up that match, we're somehow pushing Willow to this division, a division she's been stuck in for a year, where she hasn't been able to beat anybody who was the TNT champion. She couldn't beat Jade Cargill, lost to her a bunch of times. Lost to Julia Hart, too. I'm pretty sure she lost to Julia Hart a couple of times. I think she lost to Chris Statlander a couple of times, too, when she was the TBS champion. It's just, there's no forward mobility. It's just everybody is stuck in place. They're like encased in amber. This match was also quite long. Poor Chris Statlander. She's going to end up like Allison Kay, man. You know, got all the potential in the world, but she's an absolute dork. And apparently just never trying to leave the indies. So, poor Chris Statlander. Dustin Rhodes. Now, this part really kind of made me laugh because I was wondering, why is Dustin Rhodes here in full gimmick? I mean, face painted, everything. Like, what's going on here? He's talking about still having passion at 55 years old, and then he gets approached by the Butcher. The Butcher. Who then they start doing this, whew, he stinks. And the Butcher says it's his mustache. It has its own musk. Do you hear the cicadas? Because I hear the cicadas. You know, this sucks. What is this? Again, your television program. Every couple of seconds you get billed. All right. Somebody is got to get paid out of this thing. I love Dustin. I love Goldust. You're positioning him to lose you money. And the Butcher is a waste of money. He shouldn't even be on your roster. All right. Val Venus, who he loses his mind on Twitter all the time. He was talking about that, you know, the whole Cody Rhodes thing doesn't make sense in WWE. It would make more sense if it was Dustin. Because Dustin has more charisma. Dustin has more history in WWE. It was a sensible argument. Now, I know he was making that argument because he doesn't like Cody personally. He doesn't like Cody's politics and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I can't imagine 55-year-old Goldust, you know, going to finish the story. You know, it would have been nice. You know, I wouldn't have been mad at that. But Dustin has so much that he can deliver to the product. And even at this advanced age, he's not going to be your world champion or anything like that, but there's still something there where he can help. But you put him in there with the Butcher, which is a disaster. It's dysgenic is what it is. This is you putting bed bugs in your own bed. Like, people look at that and say, why would I watch that show? I think that's Rampage they were talking about. Why should they watch Rampage? Because they want to see Dustin Rhodes wrestle the Butcher? Even if I was interested in Dustin Rhodes, why would I want to watch him wrestle the Butcher? I mean, think about that for a second. What about that is enticing to anybody? What for? Moving on. They brought back the Turner Classic Movies guy, and he was dealing with Tony Storm. He still won't say the word tits. This lasted about 15 seconds. Tony Storm is an afterthought. Ever since Mercedes showed up, she's been an afterthought. I think, hasn't it been 2 weeks since Thunder Rosa pinned Tony Storm, and they have not followed up on that story at all? I don't even think they followed up on it on Collision. I don't know. No, Collision wasn't even on last week. So, did they follow it up on like Rampage or something? Because it's been 2 weeks. It would have been perfectly reasonable for Thunder Rosa to cut a promo or something. Maybe if you didn't give Shibata 20 minutes, maybe if Private Party didn't get 20 minutes, we could have taken, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes for the women's world champion and the person who pinned her to have some time to build the story. But no, we absolutely need Shibata to kick out of a move at 1. We absolutely need that. That's very, very important for the growth of our company. Is a guy who never wins. He has to kick out of everything. This is stupid. They did a Swerve Strickland vignette. He's still focused on being the world champion. That's very good. This match was also kind of long. It was the Best Friends versus Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. I didn't watch this. I don't like none of these people. None of them. So I didn't watch it. I came back. The match was already over. And the Young Bucks were standing next to the Cody Vader. And they were looking at Best Friends. And I assumed Best Friends won. And then I saw the graphic in the lower left-hand side. And I said, okay, well, the Best Friend won. Good. Has there ever been world champions that have lost as much as Matt Taven and Mike Bennett? This is like the 3rd or 4th match I've seen them lose. And I mean, I'm just saying straight up clean. It's just losing. It's almost becoming like Rey Mysterio when he was the world champion in 2006. You're underdog, except they're heels. And they got your opponents. Well, they don't have these opponents outnumbered, but they got most opponents outnumbered. Roderick Strong, he won that international belt and vanished. I forgot he even had it, if we're being honest, until he showed up with it on this show. And wasn't it supposed to be Wardlow's job to make sure that these guys win and look good? He wasn't out there. He had nothing to do with this. Where was he? Who told Roderick Strong that mustache was a good idea? It's not even a porno mustache. It is a boring suburban dad mustache. I don't get it. I'm not getting it. Speaking of boring suburban dad, Kyle O'Reilly is out here. He's still wearing his hat to the back. He's still pale of face. He's still got sunken eyes. He's still confused. And he's talking about proving that he belongs. What? You're 40 some odd years old. Like, you're not some rookie that has to go out here and prove himself. Like, what is... I don't know, man. I don't know what they're doing. I'm trying to figure out... I'm trying to help AEW out. Where am I supposed to find the money in the last 3 or 4 segments? Where's the money? Okay, so you say Swerve. They had a vignette for Swerve. It was about a minute or so, maybe 90 seconds. All right, maybe. But in the last 30 minutes or something like that on this show, who was supposed to draw you some money? Just look back. Tony Storm, you didn't put her on the show to do any goddamn thing. The Butcher, no. Dustin Rhodes, no. Willow, no. Sky Blue, no. Statlander, no. Anna Jay, no. Jericho, forget about it. Hook, maybe. You have to actually do something with him. Mercedes is your big signing. You brought her and you made her a commentator. So you completely neutered her. And then she got taunted by Julia Hart. I forgot about that. She got taunted by Julia Hart and did nothing, by the way. So she's the one who's in all of this stuff that was supposed to make you some money. And then you put her in a position to make you no money. She's not fighting anybody. She's not engulfed in anger with somebody. Nobody wants to fight her. Nobody's challenging her. What is happening here? Next, you got Edge. Edge talking about dreaming about nights like, Toronto last week, which sounds a lot like the last time he claimed he was going to have his last match in Toronto, which was when he wrestled Sheamus. He said he won his first championship since 2011, which is technically his second because he won this belt before. Then he says that this 30-year story between him and Christian is closed and it's time to move on. He's going to defend his title and he's going to do the Cope Open. The Cope Open. So the John Cena United States Open Challenge except Edge. That's what it is. So Edge is going to be put in position to not draw you any money so that he can wrestle the Outrunners and JD Drake and whoever else you can dig from the bottom of the freezer. What is going on? I mean, this is nonsense. Now, here's some cash. Konosuke Takeshita versus Swerve Strickland. Now, your audience likes Konosuke Takeshita, Tony Khan. He might be able to draw you some money. Maybe. Your fans already like the Japanese style. They already like this guy. They already know who he is. They did the smart thing earlier by showing a vignette of him. Good. They also showed a vignette of Swerve. Good. They built up this storyline. And it's a number 1 contenders match. The two guys don't necessarily have heat with each other, but they have their own goals. Good. Then they have this match. The match is super long. And it's 50-50 booked. And Swerve wins. But that's only after Takeshita kicks out of his finisher twice, I think. He gave him a gigantic foot stomp from the top rope on the ring apron. Takeshita was up 30 seconds later running around. He then gave him a standing foot stomp, like a pop-up foot stomp. Takeshita didn't get beat by that. I think he gave him another foot stomp from the top rope. He didn't get beat by that one either. And we've watched people lose to the gigantic foot stomp from Swerve. He ends up beating him with the big pressure, what they used to call the JML driver. The match itself was fine. It was nothing wrong with it. I didn't watch this match and was like, ugh, it was garbage. Outside of Takeshita kicking out of things at one, or, kicking out of, his big moves, I really wasn't tripping, you know. But when you 50-50 book the entire show, stuff like this gets bogged down, Like, I can buy these two guys being 50-50 booked because that's the story. The story is they're the top two guys in the company. And, oh yeah, you guys have bullied Tony Khan into bringing the rankings back. So now the rankings are back too. Okay? He's now posting the rankings again. So in any event, these are their top two guys in terms of being number one contenders. You want a 50-50 book them because they have the same record. Okay. That's your bag. Okay, go for it. But when you 50-50 book everybody, you've conditioned the audience that all of these matches are going to be really long. And the match wasn't never in question. Nobody ever believes that Takeshita is going to win. So you should do something to lead people to believe that Takeshita can win, which means there should have been a lot more cheating. There should have been a lot more cheating. That's one thing that I'm looking at in AEW, and I'm saying, man, you guys are really missing the boat. So many of these people have managers and folks floating around outside the ring. There's not enough cheating. Too many guys going in there just getting clean wins or clean losses. I know that that's what they like in Japan. But this is the United States. People actually want to get invested in a story. I'm not saying that every match needs to end in a disqualification. This match, the right decision was made. Swerve won. What I'm saying is, if you're not going to try to protect Takeshita by, having him lose via roll up or something like that, you could at least get him some decent heat by Don Callis pulling the leg or throwing Swerve into the ring post or something. You could try to do something, right? So that the guy can get some heat. Because if he can just be great match guy, well, that's fine. But you've turned everybody into that. Everybody's great match guy. There really is no functional difference between this match and the first match on the show. Very talented Japanese guy that probably will never make a dime in the United States. Wrestling a guy that the company is pushing and wants to make the world champion or wants to make the top star. And the match is way too damn long. It's a solid enough match, but the match is way too damn long. And because the outcome is so predictable. You bookended the show with the same match, essentially. Shibata kicks out of random moves at one. Takeshita kicks out of random moves at one. Ospreay, what was this? He kicked out of the Oscutter at one. And hearing Takeshita kicked out of something from Swerve at one. And it's like, oh, okay. So it's exactly the same match. Just different Japanese guy in it. So afterwards, Samoa Joe says that Swerve Strickland is celebrating the biggest fade of his life. He is not that man. So here we are. Swerve, Joe, they're going to do it at Dynasty. All right. I don't have a problem with that. Maybe you switch the belt. Maybe you don't. At this point, I don't think it matters. You definitely got to look at that as an opportunity to make you some money. I mean, again, I'm looking at this thing. I'm looking at how they're trying to rejigger their pay-per-view providers. Now it's going to be Fight, Triller. They're not really doing Bleacher Report anymore. Some people think that has something to do with Warner Brothers. I don't think so. I think it has a lot to do with Bleacher Report. People bitched about Bleacher Report last time because it wasn't working. So now they're saying, yes, Bleacher Report is not fully operational. So we're going to, go with something else that might actually hold up. But you're looking at this thing, man. I'm looking at this card and I'm saying you have to be an absolute mark to keep paying for this at this point. And you actually have to be a fan of this product, a super fan, in order to spend money on the card as it's set right now. And it's essentially a one match show. And they announced that one match a month ago. All right. So they already told you it's Danielson versus Will Ospreay. And if that's the match you care about, you're willing to spend $50 on it, then Tony Khan will take that $50. But most other people are saying this show's going to be 4 hours. You know, that's going to be one match on this entire show. I would like something else on the show to like. And maybe Swerve and Joe can be that second match on the show that you like. But you spent all this money on Mercedes. She should certainly be in a top match on your show. And she should be wrestling somebody who matters, not goddamn Julia Hart or Willow Nightingale or somebody like that. Now, maybe next week, because they still got a couple of weeks before the show, maybe they swing something and Mercedes ends up on the show wrestling Chris Statlander or something like that, and an attempt to salvage the show. That's the best they got, is to try to swing her on there against somebody that she's already interacted with. And you know, hopefully it's not some goofy respect match. Hopefully it's a she didn't see it coming, blindsided kind of deal, like, you know, Chris Statlander turned heel. They need something, because the reason why I talk about the ratings, and I don't really care about them, and I really don't care about the attendance either, except for it looks bad on TV, is because you want the show to be around. I'm tired of people talking about how wrestling is in a boom period and how wrestling is hotter than ever, but it's really just WWE. They're the ones selling all the fucking tickets and, you know, having all the big shows. AEW is in the goddamn toilet. TNA is selling 300 tickets. 300. There was more people in the line at the bathroom at a GCW show. And I know because I was there. That's insane. That TNA has been around for 20 years. They can't sell 1,000 goddamn tickets. But then you look at AEW and they're spending a lot more money. They should be, they're spending more than 4 times more, and they're not getting that back. There was an interesting conversation about which is the number 4 or 3 wrestling promotion. And some people are saying it's clearly not TNA. You know, it can't be TNA. They don't sell any fucking tickets. Nobody watches the show. Who orders the pay-per-views? The same people not watching the show. And it can't be GCW. They don't have TV. You know, so they sell more tickets than TNA though. But New Japan also sells more tickets than TNA, and they sell more tickets than GCW. So technically, GCW is like the 4th promotion, which means TNA goes from having a shot at being number 2 to being fucking 5. All right, so I want AEW to not fall into the TNA tier. You know, I would like for that not to happen. And I would imagine NWA does about the same number as TNA, looking at their audience too, and wondering who the hell would buy their pay-per-views, which likely nobody. I'm pretty sure Billy Corgan's going to try to give them away. But the be-all, end-all is the business is supposed to be healthy now, you know, with NWA on CW and AEW gearing up to get a new rights deal, which I'm still haven't seen coming. And they're supposed to be on the road to, they're expanding pay-per-views and doing all this stuff. It's not looking good, though. They got to tighten up. You know, they really got to tighten up. But they don't listen. They don't want to listen. These matches are too long for the people who are not going to make you any money. I know that's what your fans like, but would your fans really notice if the match was 15 minutes rather than 20? Would they really notice if it was 12 rather than 20? I don't think so. So, let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Yeah. We just gone.